Well, the first thing, of course, is to establish that Donald Trump is stupid, he's crazy, ignorant, and utterly amoral. And the second thing is that we're essentially having a coup in slow motion, in that he's attempting to dismantle the government itself, the independent power of the other branches of government, the rule of law, and to become a dictator, and that the Republican Party is trying to let him. The third thing I would say is that the US media is not representing this very well to the public. Mm-hmm. So while there actually is a lot of resistance in a lot of ways, I think a lot of people don't understand it. You can describe one thing that's happening in a way that makes it sound very boring and ordinary. But if you put all the pieces together, you know, it's death by 1,000 cuts. It's you know, you go into a house and you destroy this and you destroy this and you destroy this. At some point, the house will fall down. Two giant egos from two of the world's biggest assholes, you know, who definitely have genuinely different interests and worldviews. You know, that they could have anything they want. You know, they've bought islands, they've bought palaces. They could live magnificently without ever earning another penny or peso or centime, but the greed becomes endless, and so they need more power, more money, more control. And yet you look at them all and they seem profoundly unhappy. And Donald Trump and Elon Musk both seem miserable. The fact that that much power and that much money doesn't make them happy is proof both that they're pursuing the wrong things and that if there's never enough, there's never enough. Google created an algorithm that prioritizes extremist content because it keeps you online longer. You look at the success of Jair Bolsonaro in getting elected in Brazil, also YouTube videos, also Google algorithms. So a coup attempt in South Korea, you know, destruction of the rainforest and indigenous rights in Brazil, all come back to this Silicon Valley corporation. Genocide in Burma, Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook Messenger is how the propaganda was spread, and they didn't stop it because they only care about profit. You can see so much information control. And of course, Elon Musk bought Twitter not to make money because it's losing money. Mm-hmm. It's worth so much less than when he bought it. From a business mindset, oh, it wasn't a good decision and he's degrading the product. From a propaganda standpoint, it helped Trump win. It's helping Musk spread extreme right-wing, misogynist, racist, and just crazy views and suppress other views. The fact that people treat propagandistic technology as neutral is one of the stupidities that allows them to continue really in a battle of stories and a battle of ideas. And in some sense, the new right-wing extremism is an attempt to undo all those successful changes. We've created a world in which people who are not white, not Christian, not male, not straight, not able-bodied, who are very young or very old, have more rights, more representation, you know, more value in society than they did. And, you know, this world of radically more equality is miserable for men who benefited greatly from being the straight, white, Christian-identified ones. And so essentially, you know, plus environmental consciousness that says you can no longer dump your poison in the river, you can no longer, you know, do some of these really destructive things. And so they want their old world back. And you can turn that message inside out and see that what they're saying is, you all changed the world immensely. You've actually been very successful. We want to change the world back to what it was before your victories. And so really they're saying feminism was a victory, queer rights was a victory, anti-racism was a victory. Obviously they're not perfect. Obviously we're not in utopia, but it changed it too much for the happiness of these men. And their vision is always regressive, retrograde. First of all, often it's people who they're trying to kill are supposed to be nice to the people who are trying to kill them. And, you know, where it's like And it never goes both ways. Nobody ever says to the right-wing white supremacists, you need to spend more time understanding lesbian rabbis. You need to spend more time understanding Black feminists. You need to understand non-English speaking refugees who came here yesterday. It's always like all the rest of us have to spend all our time being more understanding towards, white right-wing America, which really tells them that they're more important and their values and worldview are more important. It becomes a self-fulfilling system. They expect to be indulged. They find it very upsetting. They'll say, I quote a Supreme Court justice saying, you can't even tell a joke, meaning when what he really means is, of course you can still tell a racist joke, but now there are people who can say it's racist without fear, and a lot more people who think it's racist. And so it's the oppression of not being able to oppress that they're complaining about. Yeah, I like to say every crisis is a storytelling crisis. It's not only a storytelling crisis, but yeah, the American left also doesn't celebrate its victories, doesn't recognize all the ways in which it's won, some of which are very direct, from environmental regulations, marriage equality, laws around marital rape and sexual harassment and other women's rights. There's been so much that's changed in my lifetime. I think we live in a world that's almost would be inconceivable to somebody from 1960. And, and a lot of it has been so slow and incremental, people don't even notice it. Something I've been talking about a lot on this tour, I've been talking a lot about because nobody notices it. And again, it's about these big frameworks of time. In the year 2000, we did not really have an alternative to burning fossil fuel to power our systems because wind and sun were expensive, primitive, completely inadequate. We've had an energy revolution that is stunning, miraculous. Nobody in 2000 could believe it. Every year, the estimates of how much more solar we would implement, how much more the costs would drop, were underestimates. Year after year, nobody dared to imagine the way in which it's changed, these bigger, faster, better changes. We now, and for the last 10 years really, have lived in a world where we could truly leave the age of fossil fuel behind. And this is part of the strangeness of my life because I see time in bigger increments. I'm kind of cheerful and hopeful. Is like, I'm still excited that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez won in 2018. I'm still excited about things that happened. I think I might still be excited about the fall of the Berlin Wall. I'm still excited about marriage equality. And a lot of people, it just feels really sad. Something amazing happens. And then it feels like 2 days later, it never happened because they go back to the attitude of we never win, we're making no progress, we have no power. So the left defeats itself even before the right does through this dismal attitude. I think that when I talk about slowness, which is really about the long time perspective, and the stubbornness because it takes a while to change.